Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the Calgary Flames as the Calgary Flames have punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's been a very nice season in Calgary as the Calgary Flames are pretty much, in terms of the Pacific Division as a whole, some would argue it's a weaker division compared to the other three, but the Calgary Flames are on pace to win the Pacific Division this season. They put together a really nice run. There was a lot of questions, including myself, a lot of doubters out there that were saying, are the Calgary Flames as good as we think they are? And they've kind of proven this season that they are a pretty good hockey team. So we'll take a look at the success that was the Flames this year, what the playoff, the future of this team in terms of the playoff picture looks like. We have a lot to discuss. So we'll go over all of that today. So let's start off with how things have kind of gone in. So like I said, going into this season, there was some concern. They missed the playoffs last year. And again, in a weak Pacific Division last year, people were saying if they couldn't make the playoffs in a weak division like that, how are things going to go into next year? And things have actually turned around very nicely for the Calgary Flames. Maybe not in the way we would have necessarily thought, but this has been a good hockey team. You look at Daryl Sutter, who has come in. I mean, he has been incredible. Just a great addition to the Calgary Flames organization and is really... I don't, because I don't want to disrespect either one of these guys, but he reminds me a lot of Barry Trotz when he came to the New York Islanders. A team that didn't, again, you hate to say that the team had no structure under the previous guy, but that's really what it was. Daryl Sutter comes in there and puts a very definitive structure on this hockey team. And, based off of some of the moves they've made, they bring in Tyler Toffoli, they bring in some guys in free agency like Trevor Lewis that have had some ties, to Daryl Sutter in the past. This team has been very successful, and again, a lot of that, I have to say, is Daryl Sutter. Now, this is not to take away credit from Jacob Markstrom, who has the most shutouts in the NHL. I think he's up to 13 or 14 this season. He has been incredible. Well, watch out for Sorokin there. He's got, I think, 9 or 10 now. So, it's one of those things where Markstrom has just, especially early in the season, was like lights out, brick wall, unbeatable. And I think that really helped the Flames kind of get some good momentum going into the season, and that really got them going on the right foot, and they never really looked back since then. They had a couple of little blips in November. It looked like in January, February, they struggled a little bit, but they've kind of overcome those issues, and they have, especially in the second half of the season, been very, very dominant. So this is a kind of an interesting stat. So since their 5-year playoff drought, which was in the 2010s, they have made the playoffs 5 of the past 9 seasons. So that's pretty good. I mean, you consider the fact that, they had a 5-year drought where they did not make the playoffs 5 straight seasons. Basically every other season after that, they had made the playoffs. So that's a lot better for the Calgary Flames. And I do remember that. This was an organization that was really struggling to find an identity back then. And here they are. And now they, like I said, probably the best team honestly, they are the best team in the Pacific Division. I don't really think anybody's going to catch them. Edmonton's behind them, which we're going to talk about that in a second. But I think it is Calgary Flames' division to lose at this point. The other interesting, kind of topic throughout this season, especially up in Canada, has been, what is the potential of a conference final matchup between the Colorado Avalanche and the Calgary Flames? Because I think most people would argue those are the two best teams right now in the Western Conference, and again, pretty definitively. Now we know how the playoffs work. That, everybody's saying, oh, let's talk about the conference finals. I mean, we still have to get through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And, chances are one of those 2 teams, potentially both those teams, don't actually get to the Western Conference final. We're just looking at it just to create a storyline, right? But that is the matchup that everybody would predict, and probably when you start to see, people making playoff brackets, you're going to see a lot of Calgary and Colorado in the Western Conference Final. So, I'm sure some of you will put that in, right? So that's what we're talking about. That could be a really good playoff series if they get that far. First round might be a little bit quieter for Calgary on that front. You're talking about the Flames, who at this point right now are going to play the Nashville Predators or possibly the Dallas Stars. I think more likely than not, it's going to be one of those two teams. Vegas is still in the picture, but they will play that first wild card team, which as of today, the recording of this video, it is Nashville. But again, it's so close. It kind of could change by the day. It's going to probably be Nashville or Dallas. So that's going to be an interesting first round that we haven't really, when has there ever been a Calgary Dallas or Calgary Nashville playoff series? I don't even know. Normally those teams aren't good at the same time. So this will be really interesting. Just for that. The second round, if Edmonton gets past the first round and Calgary as well, Edmonton being the second seed in that Pacific Division, they're 6 points behind. Oh no, 8 points behind Calgary at the top. We could see another Battle of Alberta in the second round, which I think would be great. That would be a great second round matchup and leading potentially to the conference final. You're talking about Calgary playing some pretty good hockey, like not just team, again, not to disrespect Nashville or Dallas, but like the rivalry of the Battle of Alberta and just the magnitude of what could be that conference final, I think is very much on the table. The big question for the Flames is Jacob Markstrom just going to do what he's been doing? Jacob Markstrom's the type of goalie, and he's proven it this season and even last season, that he can steal games for the Calgary Flames. And you're looking at a team right now that is in a cup window. You have a lot of contracts coming up this summer that there's going to be a lot of change in the organization. You look at, I'm going to be making a video talking about this, an entire video, but you're potentially looking at guys like Matthew Tkachuk, Andrew Mangiapane, Johnny Gaudreau, Nikita Zadorov, Eric Brandstrom. All those guys could potentially be on their way out. So you're looking at a situation where the Flames are in a window right now where they can win before they have to worry about those big contracts in the offseason. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. How far will the Calgary Flames get in the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs? Do you think they're a little bit, everybody's just talking about them because they're the hot team right now? They're the hype team in the Pacific Division. They're beating up on the rest of the Pacific that isn't very good. Or do you think they're going to stand to the test of the competition that will be in front of them come the first round potentially, where you play good teams in the Central, or even in the second round a team like Alberta, the Edmonton Oilers, or potentially even the Colorado Avalanche, or maybe even the Stanley Cup final? Who knows, right? Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.